And we are live. Welcome, everybody. Hope you've all had a nice little week. Say hi to Carl. What's that, Carl? Sacrifice the blood of the innocent? No, Carl, we're not doing that today. We are here to read some Manly P. Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages, Chapter 6. We're getting through it. We're getting through it. We had some pretty boring stuff on pyramids, but I think we're gonna get past the pyramids, and we're gonna get into some Atlantis stuff soon. I can't wait for the Rosicrucian chapters, actually. Yes, we have a poll ongoing. Make sure you make sure you choose the correct option in the poll. And yeah, secret Rosicrucian knowledge coming soon. Let's do our weekly tarot pool, shall we? Remember, this is for you guys. Try and get your intuition chiseled. Listen to your instincts. When the instincts speak, that is intuition. So I'm feeling like this card here. Ooh, oh, I got two by accident. Let's see if you can get two. This is interesting. This is real interesting, actually. Very interesting pool. We got two today. What did we get in the chat? How did Neo-Stoicism, by the way? Tyler guesses temperance. Interesting. Interesting. Adamu in chat. Howdy Bob. Ricardo. Out tuition. Welcome. What's good? Back from your vacation. Okay. Yeah. Necrodancer. Howdy. Now let's just jump right into it. Hanged Man and Tower, says Bob. Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Richard's member in the chat. God damn it. And Lovers and Justice, Ricardo. Very interesting. Keep on putting your theories down below and we'll keep going. On some also, let's go through the news. I'm still working on that Substack. I've had no time. Got some new vid coming. Got some new vids coming. Got some things in the work. Also, the next Secret of Ola meeting is actually this Tuesday. I usually do it bi-weekly, but it's gone from week to week because the next bi-weekly meeting is on the night that my Rosicrucian Lodge meets, so we're just gonna do it this coming week instead. I'll just have two vids floating. Yeah, then we'll skip back. We'll skip back. Okay. That's enough of that. We've got our tarot cards. Carl knows what's up. Carl knows what's up. Look at that sneaky little cheater. He always cheats at board games. Now, what has Manly P. Hall got for us? We're still on the pyramids. Mr. Ballard's theory. Ballard's theory of extensive underground apartments and quarries brings up an important problem in architectonics. That sounds very sexy, by the way. Architectonics. The pyramid builders were too far-sighted to endanger the permanence of the Great Pyramid by placing over 5 million tons of limestone and granite on any but a solid foundation. It is therefore reasonably certain that such chambers or passageways as may exist beneath the buildings are relatively insignificant, like those within the body of the structure, which occupy less than 1/1600th of the cubic contents of the pyramid. The Sphinx was undoubtedly erected for symbolical purposes at the instigation of the priestcraft. The theories that the Urias is the serpent, usually the serpent on... Is it the staff serpent, or is it like when you see the crown and the... So I believe that's the Urias serpent. upon its forehead. Yeah, there we go. There is the Uriah serpent upon the forehead. So we were talking about the Sphinx has like a crown with a, which would have had a serpent on it at one point. Upon its forehead was originally the finger of an immense sundial. That both the pyramid and the Sphinx were used to measure time, very, very likely. The seasons and the precession of the equinoxes are ingenious, but not wholly convincing. Gurdjieff speaks of this. In that one chapter in Beelzebub's Tales, Gurdjieff talks about they had underground chambers that acted as observatories, which was interesting. So instead of us building observatories outwards, the Egyptians built something into the ground that was then used to observe upwards. I think it's almost like Gurdjieff was saying they went inwards to gain their knowledge of the exterior world. Instead of us, we keep building stuff outwards to try and gain knowledge outwards, and that's all the knowledge we care about. Those clever Egyptians. But yes, indeed. If this great creature was erected to obliterate the ancient passageway leading into the subterranean temple of the pyramid, its symbolism would be most appropriate. In comparison with the overwhelming size and dignity of the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx is almost insignificant. Its battered face, upon which may still be seen vestiges of the red paint, really? With which the figure was originally covered, is disfigured beyond recognition. Its nose was broken off by a fanatical Mohammedan, lest the followers of the Prophet be led into idolatry. The very nature of its construction, and the present repairs necessary to prevent the head from falling off, indicate that it could not, let me just actually move this here, that it could not have survived the great periods of time which have elapsed since the erection of the pyramid. To Egyptians, the Sphinx was the symbol of strength and intelligence. Those are the two main stats that the Egyptians tacked into. It was portrayed as an androgynous. That's right, divine androgyne. The divine futa is back. To signify that they recognized the initiates and gods as partaking of both positive and negative creative powers. Gerald Massey writes, "This is the secret of the Sphinx. The Orthodox Sphinx of Egypt is masculine in front and feminine behind." I bet she is. So the image of Sut Typhon, for a second I thought there was an L in there, a type of horn and tail made in front and female behind. The pharaohs who wore the tail of the lioness or cow behind them were male in front and female behind. Okay. Like the gods, they included the dual totality of being in one person, born of the mother, but of both sexes as the child. That's interesting because there's also like a part of the Egyptian dynasty some people mention goes through the age of Gemini, so that mystery of the twins. Sut Typhon. Maybe Set Typhon, Tyler. Most investigators have ridiculed the Sphinx, and without even deigning to investigate, the great colossus have turned their attention to the more overwhelming mystery of the pyramid. Our tuition says one of the theories to date the Sphinx was that it was built in the age of Leo long ago and lines up with that night sky, right? Yeah, I think it lines up. If you were to revert the equinoxes to the age of Leo, then a specific star sign would have arisen on the horizon. It would have been pointing. It's not pointing to that now, but if you were to imagine the sky in the age of Leo, when the equinoxes were in a slightly different dimension, a specific star sign would have arisen, and the Sphinx would have been pointing towards it. Voices in the Wilderness. Hello, Richard. Hello, Voices. Coco. Howdy. Now let's just get into it. Sut Typhon equals Set Typhon. Confirmed? Confirmed. I mean, it makes sense. The Typhon. Because that's more, like, Typhon's more Greek, looking at the Egyptians, and just saying, oh yeah, Set. Set is the Egyptian equivalent of Typhon. You know, that creature that is antagonistic towards the gods or the main pantheon. Although Set has his own thing. You know, one thing I saw interesting recently, how they don't know what animal Set is, because he's a bit weird. Someone was pointing out Set is most likely a fox, and I'm like, that actually does kind of connect. You know, the fox with the trickster archetype really fills in for Set, so I'm just imagining him as kind of... And you kind of have guys like that. The fox-headed people. In medieval European lore, there's... Oh my god, sorry, I'm just looking at the poll for PP Big, and Huge is at 69%. That's amazing. End poll. Right there. That's hilarious. Trickster Fox. So yeah, there's a character from European lore called Reynard, and he's got like a fox head. And so there's all this kind of... There's stuff. It's interesting. The foxes and their mythology and their symbolism. And so to make Set a fox-headed deity actually just can't... It just works. Nice. We got the 69, bros. The fox and Pinocchio. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes, Petra. Now... the pyramid mysteries. So what did they do? We've talked about the dimensions of the pyramid. Now, what did they do in the pyramid? There's only one way to find out. Let's listen to Manipule. The word pyramid is popularly supposed to be derived from... What's that? Pich? This is a P, and that's an E. What the fuck is that again? Pronounce. Fire. Pur. Okay, there you go. Makes sense. Pur. Pur. Fire, thus signifying that it is the symbolic representation of the one divine flame. I don't know about that. I don't know about like that. The life of every creature, John Taylor believes the word pyramid to mean a measure of wheat. Okay. While C. Piazzi Smythe, sorry. C. Piazzi Smith. He's got like a white last name, but then he's got a spicy Italian first name, and I'm like, what? Unless that's a middle name. What's the C stand for? Chester? Maybe his mom was Italian. Favors the Coptic meaning, a division into 10. That's interesting. That's in blah blah. Anyone? Oh, Richard's member says Harvey Spencer Lewis says in his book Mystical Life of Jesus that Mr. Jesus had a ceremonial initiation within the pyramid. Yeah, that's a big, there are some Rosicrucian currents that are really... Oh, and even some esoteric Masonic currents that really go into the idea of the mysteries coming from Egypt. And so everything just going back to Egypt. Even Gurdjieff said a little bit of that. Where it was like, he talked about the, what do you call it? The mass? The bread and the wine ritual. It's the unction. That ceremony actually being practiced within the pyramids themselves. And he's like, source, trust me, bro. But it's real. And it's like Christianity existed before Christ, and they practiced the unction within the pyramids. And it's like, And I mean, look. The Jews were in Egypt for a while. The Eucharist, sorry, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, the Eucharist was practiced within the pyramids before Christianity. And you know... there is that, what do you call it, conspiracy theory, which randomly comes from Freud. Like, everyone thinks, when people think of Freud, hey, another guy, how's it going? When everyone thinks of Freud, they always think of, like, mom jokes and pee-pee jokes. But Freud actually, a part of his corpus is, he got into, like, conspiracy theories. And one of his theories, actually, on, like, the Bible and, what's it, it's not Noah's, friggin' Moses in the desert, was... So what was the Eucharist before Christ? Exactly. So it's basically a condensation, the whole idea of the Eucharist, or the bread and wine, that ritual is to draw celestial energies into the bread and wine so it becomes super substantiated. So you could say it's still Christic. I've been busy and forgot what today was. Oh, hey, howdy, Kimberly. Yeah, you haven't missed much, Kimberly. Goddamn planes. But it's like, so it's still, you could say, that logoic force descending into the bread and wine. It's just not Jesus's blood and body, but it is some kind of celestial blood and celestial flesh that you're then eating and you're becoming divine. That's what the equivalent, the Eucharistic unction has always been. But I was going somewhere. What else was I talking about? Yeah, that's right. Jesus. Initiation, pyramids, fuck. Bruh. Oh yeah, by the way, Kimberly, I drew 2 by accident. So there's 2 today. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting what they are. Very symbolic. Yes. So another guy in Kimberly, put your guesses down. Also, you missed the poll. Now, yeah, so Rosicrucianism and esoteric masonry really want everything to come from Egypt. And then it's kind of like, so there's this whole, and that kind of goes back to the Greeks as well, like Pythagoras studying in the pyramids. Can the Eucharist cure my Halloween hangover? No, only more drinking can cure that. Trust me, bruh. And so a lot of esoteric currents just divert back to Egypt, or defer back to Egypt. And then through Egypt, it kind of goes back to Babylon. Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about. So Freud has an conspiracy theory. Scouse, howdy Scouse, guessing the moon and strength. Okay. Atom with strength of the world. Okay, interesting guesses. Now, PP Big. So Freud has a conspiracy theory. Everyone lock in for this one. So he says that Moses existed, but that whole story of Moses being put in a reed basket and going down the river, because the Jews were like, oh, we can't have another baby, and they put him in a reed basket, and then he gets picked up by Egyptian royal family, and he gets adopted in, and he ggets trained in the priesthood, and then he leads his people. Freud says that's not true, and he uses some old Akkadian accounts. So those who don't know, in where Babylon is, or where Sumeria, you know, who's Abraham? Abraham comes from Ur, where the city of Ur was in Samaria. There was a kingdom called the Akkadians, and their first king was called Sargon of Akkad, which, you know, the internet guy, he took that name. But Sargon of Akkad, in his bibliography, his account of his story is his parents put him in a reed basket and he got put down the river and got picked up by the royal family, and that's how he became a member of the royal family. So he was trained in royal luxury, and it's this kind of thing. Whether that story is true or not, Freud basically says the Jews were aware of that story and took that framework and applied it to Moses. So Moses existed, but he wasn't Jewish. He was just straight up an Egyptian priest that then helped out the Jews and just became a leader and took them to the promised land, or got them out of Egypt and got them to another place, and they retroactively made him Jewish by using that story. Oh, he was put in the reed basket kind of thing. But it's like, it's not just that though. It's goes kind of deeper. It's, why would an Egyptian priest help some foreigners or like join them? And so there's this whole idea that within the Egyptian priesthood, there was this conspiracy, kind of, some believed one thing and some believed another, or had some other ideas and had some other secret stuff. And basically, Moses was actually a rebel Egyptian priest with secret Hermetic knowledge, and he kind of took the Jews out. And so that Hermetic knowledge is then embedded at the base of Judaism and comes out where? In Kabbalah. So Kabbalah is actually ancient secret Egyptian teachings, kind of, you know. This is the conspiracy theory. But there's this whole thing about how everything just comes from Egypt. Anyway, that's what I was just going to, and then, because that just reminded me of that, because when we got here, it was like, yeah, the pyramid, what does the pyramid mean? It means fire, it means measure of wheat, or it means a division into 10 spheres of the Sephiroth. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, The facts that I associated that wasn't out there. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. Oh, damn, Kimberly. You think Halloween is real? Had a dead person visit you in a dream last night? Based. I mean, that's just it. Like, what is it? The All Saints Eve? All Saints Day, which is before or after Halloween? Like, they kind of put that there to curb the pagan energies of Halloween. It's that kind of thing. It's either Greece or Egypt or Atlantis or Lemuria. It's all of them. From Atlantis, we get remnants into Egypt, and then from Egypt, we get a flow and continuation into Greece. That would explain why Moses wasn't allowed to enter the Promised Land. Very interesting. Did Freud explicitly mention the koala? No, that's I take that to that meaning. Like, because it's like one of those things. Freud doesn't go that far, but it's like, if he was an Egyptian priest, where would his secret teachings end up? They definitely wouldn't be in mainline Judaism. Although Judaism would have been inevitably changed by that. It would have ended up in certain tendencies that would have been maligned to the outskirts, and you know what I'm saying? All Hallows Eve. What was my costume? I went as a serial killer. We making it alchemet with this one. Howdy, Neo-Stoicism. What's that archive link, Tyler? I don't want to click it. Anyway. Massive diversion there. We went off on a tangent. Now, the initiates of old accepted the pyramid form as the idea symbol of both secret doctrine and those institutions established for its dissemination or insemination. Both pyramids are, and mounds, I bet they're mounds, are antitypes of the holy mountain. That's interesting. Or high place of God, which was believed to stand in the midst of the earth. John P. Lundy, hey, another PP, relates the Great Pyramid to the fabled Olympus, further assuming that its subterranean passages correspond to the tortuous byways of Hades. Moses and Monotheism by Freud. Ah, there you go. Published 1939. There we are. Richard's member, so much for dress up as your true self. Yeah, that's what I dressed up as. I just dressed up in normal clothes because you can never tell who the serial killer is. Link busted anyway. Oh, damn. Will the Bass Pro Shop pyramid suffice? Yes. Yes. I mean, there's the MGM pyramid in Vegas as well. That one's also got a giant light that just goes straight into the sky. And it's a black pyramid as well. Total inversion. Total inversion of the Egyptian mysteries. Sussy Baka Americana. Now, the square base of the pyramid is a constant reminder that the House of Wisdom is firmly founded upon nature and her immutable laws. The Gnostics, writes Albert Pike, claimed that the whole edifice of their science rested on a square whose angles were Echi, silence, and Bithos, profundity, and Nous, intelligence. I don't know if that's a good translation of Nous. And Aletheia, truth. See Morals and Dogma. That's another thick boy book. The sides of the Great Pyramid face the four cardinal angles, the latter signifying, according to Eliphas Levi, the extremities of heat and cold, south and north, and the extremities of light and darkness, east and west. The base of the pyramid further represents the four material elements or substances from which the combinations of which the quaternary body of man is formed. From each side of the square there rises a triangle, typifying the threefold divine being enthroned within every quaternary material nature. If each baseline be considered a square, from which ascends a threefold spiritual power, then the sum of the lines of the four faces, 12, and the 4 hypothetical squares, 16, constitutes the base 28, the sacred number of the lower world. Why? Okay. If this be added to the 3 septenaries composing the sun, 21, it equals 49. Okay. The square of 7 and the number of the unit. This is some wicked numerology here, which I'm not sure if I approve of. Memphis Pyramid and the Louvre. Yeah, there's a bunch of pyramids now that you mention it. Thank you, Nick D. Do I have opinions on PRS, the Philosophical Research Institute founded by Manly P. Holt? Not really. I mean, they just seem to be a good little, what do you call it, gathering place? Like nowadays, I'm not sure what they do besides preserve and guard, you know, the old texts kind of thing. But yeah, the Manly P. Holt's old house, which is their main museum now, I guess would still be cool. Out tuition. I don't want to go off on another huge tangent, but what's your general take on Albert Pike? My general take is that he was cool, and a lot of people, just because he was a Freemason, they absolutely go completely insane with retarded theory, like absolutely dumb, silly bum like theories, and it's like, nah, dog, he was just a Freemason. He added a lot of stuff. I think he became, because it's like, you know, 33 degrees, it's not just that he became like a 33-degree Freemason, but he took that rite, which was apparently quite bland, and added a bunch of mythology to it. He added a lot to it, I believe. I'm not quite sure on Masonic history. I got to read Morals and Dogma one day, but I mean, you know, it's the, because there's the whole thing about the Lucifer. He quotes saying Lucifer is the light in one point, but in a specific context, and you have to understand, after Paradise Lost was published in English, the poem Paradise Lost by John Milton, there was this whole literary movement where people were like, damn, Lucifer is sexy. And instead of Satan, you get this Lucifer who's a rebel. And this becomes a symbol, a literary symbol. There's Lucifer is the light of rebellion. And so when he does and Eliphas Levi and Blavatsky and a bunch of other writers use Lucifer as a motif. And because they do, now modern day conspiracy theorists look back and like quote a single line. It's like, Albert Pike, 33 Freemason, clearly he was sacrificing babies, all because of this one quote. You can definitely tell. And it's like, Pizzagate, it all goes back to Blavatsky, and it's like, dog, you're ruining everything. So that's my whole kind of thing. I think he was a good occultist. He's a kind of a part of the tradition. But other than that, I haven't like dived into his work and like got it under my skin enough to have like a really technical breakdown of what he's all about. But I can just tell off the cuff, most people's opinions of him are absolute crap. I feel like PRS has become just a bunch of exoteric Taru lesbians. Richard's member? Many such cases. Many such cases. And it's one of those things. It's not women. It's a very particular type of woman. And it's like, I feel like a society dies when there's a type of HR admin woman that gets attracted to society, and then they become members and they become a part of the administration of it, and then they multiply and men start leaving and it's just a bunch of women. And it's not just, I'm not just saying it's women, it's this type of women. And when that happens, it's like, it's never good. It's never good. And it's always cringe. It's always cringe. And like, look, ladies, let's admit, guys are retarded, but because we're retarded and like, we'll just think retarded things and we'll act on them, every now and then that creates, you could say, that's the refuse which goes up in flames, and that fire can illuminate a new path which people wouldn't have considered otherwise. So what I'm trying to say is you kind of need men and women, but you need the kind of guys to push an institution in a direction. Women maintain an institution, but when this particular type of women just congregates there, they maintain it and it perpetuates, but only at that level, and it just stagnates. And it's like, oh, you know, we kept it going all this time. Yeah, at that level, where's the new members? Why is it all just old ladies just talking about the same old stuff? And they always want to do meetings, and it's so, and you just can't get anything done. This bureaucratic nightmare. It's the worst thing ever. Happens to the Theosophical Society. It happens to certain Rosicrucian schools. It happens to certain spiritual centers. Happens to certain Buddhist communities and yoga centers. I have no doubt it's happened to the PRS. And once again, not all women, but it's this very specific type of admin woman. I wouldn't even call it a Karen. Like Karen, not all Karens are this type of, sorry. Yeah, not all of these women are kind of Karens, but all Karens are definitely admins kind of thing. You know what I'm trying to say? Anyway, I think I've made my point. What if the pyramids in Egypt were just Egyptian Bass Pro Shops? I don't know, Coco. I don't know what happens. A little numerologists I've heard from associate 28 with being the number of wealth. Yeah, I don't know where he got that 28 number from, but modern numerologists I'm very skeptical of, not gonna lie. And they're always like, oh, numerology is this ancient art. And it's like, yeah, well, have you read Theology of Arithmetic by Iamblichus? I don't think you have. I think there's this weird Ouroboros of modern numerologists not studying ancient numbers and number texts and just studying each other, and you get all these weird ideas which just don't correlate at all with what actual esoteric schools say numbers are. And so I'm like, yeah. Anyway, a lot of Pike's work is based on Levy's work. Okay. I mean, that just makes it more based. Bruh. All life forces represented by the 10 lights of emanation are included in the 7 spirits of God, or Elohim. The number 7 includes the number 10, because the theosophical extension of 7 is 28. Bruh. Outtuition, I don't know, man. 7 is 28? I guess, because 7 times 4, and there's 4 sides of the pyramid. Okay, starting to make more sense. Outtuition asks, did even Karl Marx write poems about Lucifer? Yeah, yeah, and he I think he has Prometheus? I'm not sure. Cringe apocalypse. Wine mums. Yeah, wine mums. To quote the modern philosopher Asmongold, all problems in society come from 2 groups of people, Karens and incels. Yeah. Yeah. Kimberly says, I feel numerology is too schizo. Yes, especially modern numerology. The thing about numerology is if you're normal and the first thing you do when you get into esotericism is you start doing numerology, it makes you a little schizo. And the problem with that is if you're already a little bit schizo and you get into numerology, it'll just make you massively schizo. Because why? Numbers are everywhere. You start learning numerology, and then every time you drive your car, you're looking at all the other license plates and just you're going spastic. This car is following me. His license plate number 246, and you just go crazy. Incels and Karens should date. I think they should just die. That's what I think, Coca. Oh, Kimberly, Asmongold based as AF. We got a female Asmongold viewer here in the chat. It's not just maybe Kimberly's one of the boys. Let's admit it. Kimberly, here's your man card. Now, the 12 signs of the zodiac, like governors of the lower worlds, are symbolized by 12 lines of the 4 triangles. Okay, I get it, yeah, because the pyramids, it's 4 triangles, yeah. The faces of the pyramid. In the midst of each face is one of the beasts of Ezekiel, and the structure as a whole becomes the cherubim. The 3 main chambers of the pyramid are related to the heart, the brain, and the generative system. He doesn't want to say sex because it's the 1920s. The spiritual centers of the human constitution. The triangular form of the pyramid also is similar to the posture assumed by the body during the ancient meditative exercises. The mysteries taught that the divine energies of the gods descended upon the top of the pyramid, which was likened to an inverted tree? Okay. With its branches below and its roots at the apex. From this inverted tree, the divine wisdom is disseminated by streaming down the diverging sides and radiating throughout the world. The size of the capstone of the Great Pyramid cannot be accurately determined, for while most investigators have assumed that it was once in place, no vestige of it now remains. There is a curious tendency among builders of great religious edifices to leave their creations unfinished. True that, y'all. Thereby signifying that God alone is complete. The capstone, if it existed, was itself a miniature pyramid, the apex of which, again, would be capped by a smaller block of similar shape, and so on ad infinitum. The capstone, therefore, is the epitome of the entire structure. Thus the pyramid may be likened to the universe, and the capstone to man. Following the chain of analogy, the mind is the capstone of man, the spirit, the capstone of the mind, and God, the epitome of the whole. The capstone of the spirit. As a rough and unfinished block, man is taken from the quarry and by secret culture of the mysteries gradually transformed into a true and perfect pyramidal capstone. How very Masonic. The temple is complete only when the initiate himself becomes the living apex through which the divine power is focused into the diverging structure below. Let's go. W. Marshall Adams calls the pyramid the house of the hidden places. Such indeed it was, for it represented the inner sanctuary of pre-Egyptian wisdom. By the Egyptians, the Great Pyramid was associated with Hermes, the god of wisdom and letters, and the divine illuminator, worshipped through the planet Mercury. Relating Hermes to the pyramid emphasizes anew the fact that it was in reality the supreme temple of the invisible and supreme deity. The Great Pyramid was not a lighthouse, an observatory, or a tomb, but the first temple of the mysteries, based, the first structure erected as a repository of those secret truths which are the certain foundation of all arts and sciences. It was the perfect emblem of the microcosm and the macrocosm, and according to the secret teachings, the tomb of Osiris, the black god of the Nile. Osiris represents a certain manifestation of solar energy, and therefore his house or tomb is emblematic of the universe within which he is entombed, and upon the cross of which he is crucified. Say what? Okay. I thought people didn't like Asmongold, says another guy. No, apparently he's popular. Kimberly, you can use the men's restroom. Damn straight. Manly P. Hall walked so Elden Ring can run. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how much esotericism gets in. I mean, and here's the thing. Esotericism in video games, it's esotericism in stories and narratives. And it's not like it needs to be blatant and there in your face. In fact, it's almost better that it isn't, and that it just kind of is the backing structure that the narrative kind of flows around. It's like a story should have this philosophical, esoteric base, and then around it, it should have its politic, its interactions with all the characters, and then around that, it's aesthetic. What makes it attractive, and, you know, fight scenes and all whatnot. And some stories just focus on pure aesthetic. Some stories focus on the interpersonal relations, and then some stories, and it's not like some stories are esoteric, it's some stories that have all three, have this base. And it's like those stories that have all three are the masterpieces, because it attracts the normies just via pure aesthetics. It attracts the so-called intellectuals via the political intrigue and the interrelations, and then the base, it attracts even those looking for a little bit more. Evangelion mentioned? I mean, Evangelion is like that. Evangelion kind of gets a bit in your face. I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking, like, even take Ghost in Shell as an example. The Ghost in Shell movie. Aesthetically, it's beautiful. It attracts people who are even, like, dum-dums will, like, watch that movie and be like, this is awesome. but also it has political intrigue. And you're like, damn, crazy. And it's like, you know, all these different factions, and there's the puppet master. Who is he? And it's like, that attracts intellectual people. But then Ghost in the Shell at its base is what? The major, the character, the main character, she is... It's actually, if you may not know the backstory to it, but she is actually a... Because in the world of Ghost in the Shell, they have cybernetics. They have robots, but you also have cybernetics. So you can cut off your arm and replace it with a robot arm. You can cut off your other arm and replace it with a robot arm. You even have cyber brains. So if you, like, replace your entire body with cybernetics, and even your brain is a cyber brain, what's the difference between you and just a robot? Like, are you a robot, or are you a ghost in the shell? And so the major, her backstory is her parents died in a car accident, but they were like rich and they had insurance. And the major, she was in her mother's stomach. And so her mother died, and her body also didn't survive. But because the parents had that insurance, she was immediately put into a cyber brain. So most people have memory of being humans, and then slowly they cut one arm off, cyber arm, another arm, cyber arm, legs, body, organs, and then a cyber brain. The major has never had any memories of being human. And so Major Kusanami, that's it. So she's always in this dilemma of, am I even really human? That's the whole Ghost in the Shell story. Like, it has all of these cool political intrigues, all this cool aesthetics, but at the base of it, it's a philosophy of, like, her continuously questioning, is she human? Are my memories what makes me me? And that's why the Puppet Master in Ghost in Shell was such a big thing, because the Puppet Master could cyber hack your brain and change your memories. So it's like, if even your memories can be changed, what's even left? What's even left? And it's like that, you know, it's just a transhumanist kind of jerk-off fantasy, but it's like that philosophy. Dummy dum-dums who come and watch that movie don't even understand that that's what's being asked in that movie. But it doesn't matter. Subconsciously, that impacts them. Emotionally, almost. And the politics, it's maybe a little over the head, but they understand that there's something more. And then the aesthetics are just so good. Like, that's what makes a story a masterpiece. Aesthetically, it's got style. It's got a politic. All of this intrigue. You know, people, all of this interpersonal intrigue. But at the base, it's actually got something like that just goes right into your astral bussy. You know what I'm saying? Am I crazy? You guys know what I'm talking about? Yo, Richard, drop your letterbox. I actually need to organize my letterbox properly. Drop the anime recommendations. Most Promethean anime. Tengen Toppan Gurren Lagann. Let's go. Pure Gnosticism. And drop the esoteric movie list. Yeah, I should probably. Michaela from Elden Ring is the closest thing to holy androgynous femboy. That's pretty funny. Mark Passio's deep dive into Ghost in the Shell? Mark Passio did a deep dive? And she enjoys diving deep into depths and vibing. Yes, that is a scene in Ghost in the Shell movie. Oh, you watched Ghost in the Shell today, actually. Huh. How very synchronous. Inner Universe is an absolute banger OP. Exactly. See, this is... And it's also a fusion of different things as well. That's why I like it's like this juxtaposition of different cultures. Because Inner Universe is sung by a Russian lady for a Japanese anime. And it's just like two completely different cultures and like overlaying onto each other. And just... That gets me... It gets you throbbing. It gets you throbbing. Hellsing has a hermetic undertone. Yes. You know what the hermetic undertone is in Hellsing, Adamu? When he releases his seals and he goes into Inner Universe. Damn it, Nick. No. In Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate, when Alucard releases his seals, what does he say? Bird of Hermes is my name, eating my wings to make me tame. That comes from the Ripley scroll. So George Ripley was a massive big boy in alchemy. People kind of forget. People forget. Because everyone thinks of continental alchemists. Everyone's Basil Valentine, Fulcanelli. But the English alchemists, Thomas Vaughan, George Ripley, they got the big peepee, and that actually comes from the Ripley scroll. So it's interesting that an alchemical formula is used to transform or seal him and also transform him. Very interesting. What's my thoughts on native Australian uprising against immigration? I mean, isn't that happening everywhere? Isn't that like the whole thing with like Japan voting for like a far-right minister? And then then she puts, I saw, what was that picture on Twitter? She puts some lady into, what is it, the Minister of Foreign Affairs is also a woman, but like a half Japanese, half Irish, half Japanese, and it's like, man, this timeline is just so whack. Yes, that too, Adamu. Coco says, I always wonder what's intentional and what's not in occultism and media. So here's the thing, even if it's all unintentional, what does that mean? It means that even though an artist creates, it means subconsciously the higher genius within them is working and is speaking to us. So it's like you have the artist and you have us, but really there's two higher geniuses, and it's the higher genius of the artist talking to the higher genius within us via the medium of some art. It's giant whispers, and like the lower self can be aware and conscious and a part of it, or we can not be aware. Anyway, going back on topic here, guys. Did I read this? No. Osiris crucified. Through the mystic passageways and chambers of the Great Pyramid, past the illumined of antiquity, they entered its portals as men. They came forth as gods. It was the place of the second birth, the womb of the mysteries, and wisdom dwelt in it as God dwells in the hearts of men. Somewhere in the depths of the recesses there resides an unknown being who was called the Initiator, or the Illustrious One, robed in blue and gold and bearing in his hand the sevenfold key of eternity. This was the lion-faced Hierophant, the Holy One, the Master of Masters, who never left the house of wisdom, and whomst no man ever saw, save he who passed through the gates of preparation and purification. It was these chambers that Plato, he of the broad brow, came face to face with, the wisdom of the ages, personified in the master of the hidden house. Okay, bring Plato into this. Who was the master dwelling in the mighty pyramid? The many rooms of which signified the worlds in space. The master whom none might behold save those who had been born again. He alone fully knew the secret of the pyramid, but he has departed the way of the wise, and the house is empty. The hymns of praise no longer echo in muffled tomes through the chambers. The neophyte no longer passes through the elements and wanders among the stars. The candidate no longer receives the word of life from the lips of the Eternal One. Nothing now remains, that the eye of man may see but an empty shell, the outer symbol of an inner truth, and men call the house of God a tomb. Oh, Richard's member. I'm broke, but you're not getting enough donos. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Some metaphysical poetry would be a badass series. Yeah. Gotta get to it. Gotta get to it. Oh. Serial Experiments Lane is operating a different level for the time it came out. Indeed. The technique of the mysteries was unfolded by the sage illuminator. It's interesting. You know what would be crazy? If some immortal guy from Atlantis survived, and it was just one guy, and so he came to Egypt, and then, like, it was the same guy. He just lived in the pyramid physically, and it was just the same immortal Atlantean who just initiated all of the initiates all through the different Egyptian dynasties. That's just an idea. I'm not saying that's true. But that'd be pretty crazy. Oh, thank you, Scouse. It's No Nut November. Oh, damn straight. Holy shit. Jamie sent 10 Richard Ruah gift memberships. Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Jesus. I didn't know you could send multi-memberships as one. Oof. These memberships are keeping my lights on. Goat. Indeed. Jamie. We got a new goat. Thank you, Jamie. No, thank you. Carl is very pleased by that. You will be spared when the time comes. The technique of the mysteries was unfolded by the sage illuminator, the master of the secret house. The power to know his guardian spirit was revealed to the new initiate. The method of disentangling his material body from his divine vehicle was explained. And to consummate the magnum opus, there was revealed the divine name, the secret and unutterable designation of the supreme deity, by the very knowledge of which man and his God are made consciously one. With giving of the name, the new initiate became himself a pyramid, within the chambers of whose soul numberless other human beings might also receive spiritual enlightenment. In the King's Chamber was enacted the drama of the second death. Here the candidate, after being crucified upon the cross of the solstices and the equinoxes, was buried in the great coffer. There is a profound mystery to the atmosphere and temperature of the King's Chamber. It is of a peculiar death-like cold, which cuts to the marrow of the bone. The room was a doorway between the material world and the transcendental spheres of nature. While his body lay in the coffer, the soul of the neophyte soared as a human-headed hawk through the celestial realms, there to discover first-hand the eternity of life, light and truth, as well as the illusions of death, darkness, and sin. That's interesting. So they kind of provoked, the initiation provokes a form of astral projection. Thus, in one sense, the Great Pyramid may be likened to a gate through which the ancient priests permitted a few to pass toward the attainment of individual completion. It is also to be noted, incidentally, that if the coffer in the King's Chambers be struck, the sound emitted has no counterpart in any known musical scale. This tonal value may have formed part of the combination of circumstances which rendered the King's Chamber an ideal setting for the conferment of the highest degree of the mysteries. Tyler says, makes me actually want to read Herback. What's Herback? Coco says, I heard the origins of the lodges to do with the sun god getting killed by humans. Yeah, so this is the whole thing. Freemason, that's basically Freemasonry right there. People going through a ritualized second death ritual. And what they do is interesting, because they're like, Hiram Abiff, the creator of Solomon's Temple. Hiram Abiff is never actually mentioned in the Bible. Hiram, king of Tyre, is, but they're two different people. And so it's very interesting that it's like they got these Egyptian mysteries, but they needed to cloak it in. They got a paint job, because we live in Christendom, so they had to kind of paint job it up with a bunch of biblical references. So it's all biblical, but in a sense, it's Kabbalistic. Book by Lubitz. Okay, yes, I get you, Tyler. Okay, Buddy turning into a vampire mid-paragraph. Jamie, I like your videos, by the way. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much. Adamu says, the pyramids being an astral Stargate program makes sense and would justify a multi-generational precise construction effort. Yes. Yes. The modern world knows little of these ancient rites. The scientist and the theologian alike gaze upon the sacred structure, wondering what fundamental urge inspired the Herculean labor. If they would but think for a moment, they would realize that there is only one urge in the soul of man capable of supplying the required incentive, namely the desire to know, to understand, and to exchange the narrowness of human mortality for the greater breadth and scope of divine enlightenment. So men say of the Great Pyramid that it is the most perfect building in the world, the source of weights and measures, the original Noah's Ark, the origin of languages, alphabets, and scales of temperature and humidity. Few realize, however, that it is the gateway to the eternal. Very poetic. Through the modern world, though the modern world may know 1,000,000 secrets, the ancient world knew one, and that one was greater than the 1,000,000. For the 1,000,000 secrets breed death, disaster, sorrow, selfishness, lust, and avarice. Damn straight. True, true. But one secret confers life, light, and truth. The time will come when the secret wisdom shall again be the dominating religious and philosophical urge of the world. The day is at hand when the doom of dogma shall be sounded, very based, manly, dropping bars. The great theological Tower of Babel, with its confusion of tongues, was built of brick and mud, and the mortar of slime. Out of the cold ashes of lifeless creeds, however, shall rise, phoenix-like, the ancient mysteries. No other institution has so completely satisfied the religious aspirations of humanity. For since the destruction of the mysteries, there never has been a religious code to which Plato would have subscribed. Yes. If your system couldn't entice Plato, your system ain't a system. Manly dropping pants. He's not just dropping bars, he's dropping pants. The unfolding of man's spiritual nature is as much an exact science as astronomy, medicine, or jurisprudence. To accomplish this end, religions were primarily established, and out of religion have come science, philosophy, and logic, as methods whereby this divine purpose might be realized. Bro, I'm sure Manly was swooning all the baddies back in his day. Apparently, yeah. Well, he had like 3 wives. Although apparently in his private life, he was really like depressive and like a doomer. Because like his second wife was also, they also had a melancholic streak. They were both melancholic, and she got so depressed she actually unalived herself. And it's one of those things where you're like, oof, oof, but it's like they were just both ultra depressive. It's not like he was a dick or anything. But yeah, in his private life, he was just sad boy. He would have been playing like Russian sad boy music. If Manly was alive today, he'd be listening to the Kino album by and would just be like, you know, like he'd be an online e-boy with, you know, all the esoteric. He'd have like the esoteric symbols on his clothes. He'd be like one of those e-boys who like wears Converse, and then on his jacket he's got all the pins, but they all have like esoteric symbols on them. That's Manly. That would be Manly. The dying god shall rise again. The secret room in the house of hidden places shall be rediscovered. The pyramid again shall stand as the ideal emblem of solidarity, inspiration, aspiration, resurrection, and regeneration. As the passing sands of time bury civilization upon civilization beneath their weight, the pyramid shall remain as the visible convent between eternal wisdom and the world. The time may yet come when the chants of the illumined shall be heard once more in its ancient passageways, and the master of the hidden house shall await in the silent place for the coming of that man who, casting aside the fallacies of dogma and the tenant seeks simply truth, will be satisfied with neither substitute nor counterfeit. Very based. Very based. Surely he'd be a Polish cow fan, 100%. 100% adamant. Jamie, off topic, but would you be open to letting us know which spiritual work practices you use? Yeah, kerning. Go look up kerning. Go look up pan sofa movement. Do the practices. Oh, damn, Tyler. Pyramid chapter complete. Thank you for the 20s. I listened to Radiohead with Manly. Hell yes. Hell yes. Manly P. Hall would be playing Karma Police on repeat. Real. Actually real. Actually real. 100%. 100%. Yo, what oil you put on that thing to make it shine. Oh baby, it's all just moisture. Hey Surf, did I arrive at the end? Yes you did. Yes you did. Who would listen to Weezer? I don't know. I've never heard of kerning before, says Candy Stuffed Corpse. Yeah. What the fuck is kerning? Okay, well, lesson. So, here's what's up. There's this tradition in German Rosicrucianism to use vowel sounds. Because you have, mantras. In the East, they use their mantras. They use the Om. But in the West, you see the Western version of Om is E-R-O. And you see this all throughout, history. The barbarous names in the PGM. You see this in ancient Gnostic rituals. Mithraic rituals. All the way, you see all these different, weird words which don't mean anything. But the vowels specifically, E-R-O, repeat continuously. And so there's something special about them. And this tradition continues all kind of throughout these magical societies. And you have certain, in Kabbalah, you have Abraham Abulafia with his divine words. Basically, he doesn't use the vowels, but he uses the different consonants and chants them. You have different Sufi orders that, because the Quran is written and, the letters have magic, chanting these letters. I think it's in the Baktashi order. They have this letter mysticism where you do this chanting, this mantralization, and it opens the interior centers. There is an equivalent for the West. In Franz Barden's third book, The Key to True Kabbalah, it's basically, he gives visualizations, but he also gives certain mantras and toning certain words. This is a tradition. So there was a guy called kerning who was an esoteric Freemason, and it's not sure where he gets his stuff from, but he's this kind of node point, and he introduces using the vowels and intoning the vowels on the body. And the body becomes a ladder with 12 rungs. Instead of chakras being 7, you use the star signs. And there's 12, the 12 overlay onto the body. So Aries is head, Taurus neck. Did I mention this last week? Gemini arms, Cancer boobies, Leo heart, Virgo stomach or intestines, Libra hips don't lie, Scorpio pee-pee big, Sagittarius dem thighs, they thick, Capricorn oni-chan, oni-caps, kneecaps, and bones. That's why Capricorns all have good jawlines. And then Aquarius for the calves, and the feet, or the fish, for Pisces. Give me those feet pics. So this is using the 12 mantras. So you mantralize, but you don't just mantralize, you intone, you feel the vibrations, but you focus the vibrations at different points to awaken. Do you know any systems who perpetuate his system? Literally everyone. This is the key. So Ruben, this is the thing that connects all of the Rosicrucian schools together. Steiner did it. Robert Falcon from the Golden Dawn did it. Frickin' Carl Kellner, one of the founders of the OTO. So in the OTO, they did it. Arnaldo Crumheller did it. So through Arnaldo Crumheller, it goes into the Samael schools. And also, Crumheller, his book, Logos Mantra Magica, that was like required reading for the OTO at one point in time. So if you're in the OTO, you double get that. One of the intro practices in the OTO is to imagine an A on your body, your chest, like made of fire, and to just intone it. Oh, and like that was one of their practices. It's like this intoning is literally in all of these different schools. Franz Barden taught it technically through his third book. It's all kerning, baby. In fact, Franz Barden in his third book mentions kerning, and it's just like, these kerning... He actually criticizes kerning. It's quite funny. Even Sir Bettendorf, his so-called Sufi Freemason book, that's basically just kerning, dog. He adds some weird astrological timing to it, but you got like different hand gestures to it, like because kerning says the first thing you should awaken is just your hand, and so he's like, you use the vowels on your hand first. So you use ERO to awaken your hand. So you like make a hand mudra. You have different hand mudras with the different... is this why you don't have an annoying Australian accent? Yes. Yes, it is. And so it's like... It's very interesting. Very interesting. And kind of I've been doing it... Yeah. Yeah, that's my main praxis. Other than that, it's fallen to the wayside, but I want to get back into some ceremonial stuff. But we'll see. My work's changing, and some things are on the horizon, which may just give me more time. So, to get back into properly putting on some Venga boys and doing some proper internal practices is where it's at. But yeah, so everyone should look up kerning. And the kerning itself, combined with Jakob Boehm, and this kind of lineage perpetuates, and you get this guy called Elios Melander, who is literally a secret chief that talked like he taught Gustav Meyrink and like Franz Hartmann, and Franz Hartmann was also one of the founders of the OTO, and so it's just like, it's just everybody. Literally all of the Rosicrucian streams that you have existing nowadays in one way or another drew from this well without realizing it. So, oh, the Western tradition, the lineages were all cut. No, wrong. The lineages were living. They're actually all interconnected, and there actually is something that does go quite a way back. Found Kulning instead, ancient Swedish herding call. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, Swedish mantras. that's yodeling, baby. If there's a guy called the Rune Magic guy that I talk about every now and then, Kumar, another Arnaldo, Siegfried Kumar. He basically teaches kerning as well, but he does this weird... He teaches it through the runes, like put your body into like the rune positions, like, you know, so, you know, the rune, you have your body like this, and you condense the solar energies into yourself while intoning the certain consonants and vowels. And then he goes into some weird grail mystery. His system's pretty wild. But it's, once again, it's kerning again. It's all kerning, baby. It's all hot. Everyone should get into it. Get onto the Pansofa's website. Buy the kerning books. Read them. Digest them. Keep them under your pillow. Hey, Nulu, how's it going? Back from another night of getting people to not kill themselves. Jesus. Checking out an anthroposophy study at a Waldorf group Monday night. Ever been to one? I haven't been to a study group, but yeah, I've been to the society. Yeah, they're interesting. I mean, it depends. Like, what are they going to study? Are they going to study random Steiner lectures, or are they going to... What are they going to do? Surf says, all proper theurgic schools got intonations based, and yes. Oh, and the tarot, yeah. That's right. Also, everyone, I drew 2 caros. 2 caros? 2 taros. 2 tarot cards today. And it's really interesting because I drew them and then 2 people made 2 guesses. They didn't get it right, but it's like one person got one card and the other person got the other card. The Tower and Justice. The Tower and Justice. So we were talking about what? We're talking about pyramids and the destruction of the old pyramid today, and we're talking about justice. What were we talking about justice? I don't know. Justice is balance. It's interesting. Jon Baptist Koenig, yes. Dr. Propane. Dr. Propane. Jesus. Got a king with the Hank profile pic. Yeah, okay. I get you. I see what you're doing there. Yes, Jon Baptist Koenig. There's a book called Letters on the Royal Ark. I believe that's, I'm pretty sure, the only book in English that's been translated with that on. I see people haven't been watching my videos. Don't worry, I don't watch my content either. I've got that one video, Secret Rosicrucian Teachings from ages ago, when I didn't even, like, it was just me and my, like, iPhone camera in my lounge room. That was basically an iPhone camera. That was an Android camera. That's why it was shit. That's basically what's up. I'm pretty sure I review both the Mailander book and the Koenig book in that video. Scouse, thank you for the $5. If you're going to build a mystery school from the ground up, how would I do it? I would definitely not. I would penetrate another school and rise in their hierarchy and then manipulate certain things in that school. Justice for Atlantis, or I just saw that out tuition. That's very funny. And I would, like, change certain internal things in the framework of that school with like-minded individuals. So I wouldn't, because it's pointless starting your own mystery school. You may as well join a already working mystery school and then get cool people to, other people to join it, and then have a secret side chapter with just the cool people. Promethean mentality right there, damn straight, Surf. That's what you got to do. That's what's up. Maybe next time you also don't look at the card. I also, okay. But it's me, I'm trying to transmit it to you, Richard. Okay, but yeah, we can try that. We can try that. But how do I hold it up? Maybe I'll hold it up like this. Carl will see it. Carl can see the card. I won't know what it is. The old guy I emailed told me they just started lecturing on Introduction to Rosicrucian Wisdom. Okay, that's based. Yeah. That's awesome. Go to that Steiner College. Steiner's got some good stuff. Steiner's got some good stuff. So what's next week? Next week we're going to get into some virgins. That's what's going to be next week, guys. Incels only. Yes, Carl the Bird of Mystery will transmit it. Transmit the answer to us. But anyway, yes. So, thank you all for watching. If you want to help out the stream, do consider giving a one-time donation via PayPal. Next time on Secret Teachings. That's very fun. GD for a while. Just found it disheartening that it was more intellectual than practical work. Yeah. Stream dead, says Tyler. Still going for me? Stream die for anyone else? Okay. Anyway, found it more, yeah. And this is the thing, most places are going to be more intellectual. Why are they going to be intellectual? Because no one has the theoretical structure. So you actually just need to get on with it. This is the problem. Oh, they're not practical enough. Well, do you know what to do? Do you? You kind of, and it's hard because some people will get bogged down into the intellectual stuff, the theoretical stuff, and they'll just never start a practice. But you do need the theory. And I hate some guys come in and be like, I'm only into theory. None of this, I'm only into practice. None of this theoretical stuff. And that actually kills it kind of for some other people because they don't know. And it's when you do a practice and you have no idea what's going on, it's not very potent. Like if you understand, oh, I'm doing this practice because there's a sympathetic correspondence with certain energies. I'm trying to pull in this specific energy and I'm trying to do this working. And that's why I need to focus and introspect so I can have a certain will, my willpower. When I close my eyes, you know, I'm always taken away by thoughts and by, you know, memories and impulses and desires. It's like I need to bracket all of those away so I can have a will that's not touched by anything. And then that will is something that I can then imprint the energies that I've summoned in my rituals. Are we still talking about virgins, Richard? No, we're talking about ritual magic. And it's like, then the ritual will have this effect. And it's like, when you know that your imagination and your will can work together in a magical praxis, if you don't know the theory, and someone's like, just do this practice, it feels weird and it's hard. And it's like, unless you have a fully realized teacher who can just lead you on the way and who can give you like the crumbs, and like if you hit a wall, you don't know what to do, and it's like, oh, what do I kind of do? It's like, sussy Ricky, what? How do you try new practices if you don't learn and try new methods, silly billies? Exactly. So it's like, you gotta get the theoretical structure. You need a theoretical structure. You need to study. What is it? There's an old alchemist dictatum, which is like pray, read, and work. Don't forget to work. But there's that middle part, dog. And it's like read 6 times. Big fan of Evolovids. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Richard's member. It was an old joke in the GD about getting initiated and secrets, and you get given a Hebrew pamphlet, lol. Hebrew alphabet, yeah, I know, right? Wake up, pray, then hit the books. Exactly. So, look, with the GD stuff, you got Israel Regardie. Instead of getting a Hebrew alphabet lessons, just read Israel Regardie, dog. By the way, you found a movie I might like, The Devil Rides Out. Not sure how accurate the ritual image is, but a rare example of Christopher Lee movie where he plays the good guy. Ooh. That's pretty funny, Nulu. But yeah, I hope you, yeah. So when you join a Rosicrucian school and they're just all studying theory, study along. Don't be a dick. Try to internalize the teachings of the system and have your own practice before you like, okay, let's as a group do some shit. That's what you got to do. Don't just, because I hate it when like someone's been a Buddhist for 20 years and they come into a Rosicrucian school because they're interested in the West, and they come in and there's all this theory and they're like, oh, where's the practice? And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Learn what, the system first. Don't be a dick. How the fuck do you find authentic Martinism? It's out there. It's tough, dog. It's tough. It's tough. And it's hard, Martinism, GD. That's interesting. So you've got option of Martinism or GD. What do you like, mysticism or magic more? Because those two things are like completely different. Scouse. Like if you go Martinism, yeah, there's ritual magic. You may learn some magic stuff here, but it's mainly internal mysticism and internal theurgy and regeneration, reintegration, that kind of thing. Whereas GD is just like all magic. All magic. Can I join through Freemasonry? Through Freemasonry, you can get to certain Rosicrucian stuff. If there's a Martin stuff, you shouldn't... Martinism, you don't need to be anything to be first, unless it's like... There was this guy called Joseph Willimos Baptist? Willimos? It's Willimos something, and he was a student of Martinez Pasquale, and he made a Masonic rite. You know how there's the ancient and accepted Scottish rite? There's this one called the rectified Scottish rite, completely different, but that's the Willimos guy got a lot of the operational ritual magic stuff from Martinus Pasquale and made this rectified rite. So if you join Freemasonry and ask around, you may be able to find that rite. Scouse, more mystical. Okay, well, if you're more mystical, go with Martinism then. Don't bother with the GD. Never asked Masons about Martinism. I mean, most wouldn't know. But there's always one esoteric Mason who may know. Candy Stuff Corp. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised how much sense Agrippa makes. But then I played a lot of GD when I was like, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a complete system guy. RSR. Rectified Scottish Rite by Willimos. Yes. Yes. I feel like I'd have to go into York Rite to find paths to Rosicrucianism. Encoding overloaded. Consider turning down volume settings. Uh-oh. Looks like the stream's gonna die, guys. The stream may die. Nobody at my Blue Lodge except esoteric. Really? That's an awesome Blue Lodge, dog. If you got a Blue Lodge with just esoteric guys, that's a cool Blue Lodge. Anyway, I gave my outro, and you guys just sussy lured me into another 10 minutes. But yeah, there's also SRIA if you want to go Masonic Rosicrucianism. Oh yes, thank you, Kimberly. Everyone drop some birds for Carl. And yeah, next week we'll get into some virgins. We will get out the virgins. Bro, hang out with us. I gotta go. Me and my wife got to go to the shops. Take care, and I'll see y'all next week.